Incredible revelation. Photo of unexpected poor girl transforms billionaire CEO's life forever. Jonathan Blake, a billionaire CEO with a towering penthouse overlooking the Manhattan skyline, had everything. Parties that glittered like diamonds, a fleet of luxury cars, and an empire that extended beyond the horizon of his dreams. Yet, as he sipped his champagne at another extravagant gathering, a hollow feeling loomed. The sound of laughter faded, and all he felt was an alienation that clawed at him deeper than any boardroom challenge. Then came the community outreach event, a half-hearted effort to polish his company's image. It was there, amidst smiling volunteers and sponsored decorations, that he stumbled upon a photograph taped to the edge of a worn table. The girl in the picture was bright-eyed, with an infectious smile that seemed to radiate hope. Her name was Mia, a 12-year-old girl whose life was worlds apart from Jonathan's. She lived in a struggling Bronx neighborhood, a place defined by poverty and resilience. The sight of her, a stark contrast to his luxurious existence, was a punch to his gut. A visceral sense of guilt washed over him. The details of Mia's life rapidly flooded Jonathan's mind. The multiple jobs her mother juggled and the looming threat of eviction that loomed over them like a dark cloud. Mia was not just a picture. She was a child with dreams wrestled tight against the reality of her environment. As he watched volunteers shuffle through tables, it dawned on him that wealth meant nothing if it fractured the core of genuine human connection. Compelled by a mix of guilt and the desire for something real, Jonathan reached out to Mia. His decision came with a slew of raised eyebrows from colleagues, convinced his mentorship would be nothing more than a publicity stunt. And then there was her grandfather, whose watchful gaze bore the weight of generations, skepticism etched across his face. He warned Jonathan, "These streets have seen hope turn to ash before. Don't play the part of a savior unless you're ready to take the heat." Days passed, and Jonathan ventured into the Bronx frequently. Each visit brought heavy truths. Mia greeted him with fierce independence, her laughter laced with hurt. She would share stories of racing thoughts while juggling schoolwork and the reality of crushing bills. Emotional exchanges became their new currency, and he found himself questioning everything he once deemed successful. One afternoon at a community center, a public debate erupted. Residents fought for their voices, demanding to know how someone like him, a billion-dollar man, could truly understand their struggles. The stern faces reflected anger, indignation swirling thick in the air. Jonathan felt the heat of their words hit him like a wave. "You think you can swoop in and say you've got our back?" Someone shouted, and the truth seeped into him just how safely privileged he was, and far removed from their daily grind. "I want to help," Jonathan managed, fighting against the truth weighing down his resolve. But the challenge hung in the air, steep and unforgiving. Was he truly capable of making an impact, or just playing the role? When Mia pushed back against his intentions, her dreams clashing with familial expectations, the conversations became heated. He began to see her struggle for independence and her fight against the societal expectations that seemed to trap her. With each flicker of connection, the division between their worlds felt less like a chasm and more like a complex dance of dreams and desires. Jonathan stood at a crossroads, challenged by the urgency of his corporate ambitions and the knowledge that Mia's fierce spirit could guide him to a different path. But then, he locked eyes with Mia, and one question pulsed between them. Could true change spark from his privilege, or did it require an understanding birthed from genuine empathy? As he stared into her hopeful eyes, a decision loomed on the horizon, one that could alter their lives forever. The next day, Jonathan stood at the edge of the Bronx, the harsh reality of the neighborhood etched in his mind. He felt the distance between them more than ever. Heightened by their last encounter, he wanted to know Mia better. But how could he break through the walls she carefully crafted around her heart? As he arrived at the community center, a sense of unease gripped him. Children played outside, their laughter a melody drowning out the clamor of distant sirens. He spotted Mia among them, her radiant smile lighting up her face as she chased after a ball. She looked so carefree, yet Jonathan couldn't forget the weight she bore. Today, he resolved, he wouldn't just offer help. He would be a part of her world. "Hey, Mia," he called, stepping closer with a tentative smile. She turned, eyes curious, but quickly masked her interest with a mask of indifference. "What do you want, Mr. Blake?" she asked, folding her arms. There was strength in her voice, but under it lay apprehension. "I want to learn more about you, about your life here," he replied, sincerity pouring from him. "I want to understand." Mia regarded him closely, calculating, and he could feel the gears of her mind working. It felt like standing in front of a closed door, waiting for her to decide whether to open it. "You think reading a few books will tell you my story?" she said sharply. "Things aren't like the movies, you know. It's not all happy endings." Silence enveloped them for a moment. "What if I want the truth?" Jonathan stepped forward, lowering his voice. "What if I'm ready to hear it?" Mia studied him. A mix of hope and skepticism glinted in her eyes. She shifted, her posture relaxing ever so slightly. "Fine. But if you're going to be here, be real or just don't show up at all." "Deal," he said firmly, feeling the first sense of connection. They walked together, and she guided him through her world, showing him her favorite spots. The corner store where she spent her pocket money, the playground where her friends gathered. Each step peeled away the facade of his corporate life, revealing a community dense with dreams and struggles. Mia began to open up. She spoke of her ambitions, the art she loved to create, and how she was determined to escape the cycle that trapped her family. The more she revealed, the more Jonathan found himself captivated by her resilience. "Can you really change things?" she questioned as they settled on a park bench, watching the sunset stain the sky with vibrant pinks and purples. "Or are you just here for the stories?" Jonathan's heart raced. What she was asking felt monumental. "I want to make a difference, Mia, but I can't do it alone. I need your help." She blinked, a surprise illuminating her features. "My help? How can I trust you? I would never take your voice away. Your perspective matters more than anything." At that moment, panic surged through him. He needed to prove she could trust him. What if he hesitated, weighing his words carefully? "What if we work together? To really impact your community? It can't just be about me being the big man out here. I need to amplify your voice." Mia's expression shifted, a glimmer of possibility flickering in her eyes. "And how do you plan to do that?" Jonathan felt a spark inside him. This could be more than just a charity scenario. It could be a partnership. "Let us create an art showcase. We can invite everyone, creatives from our club, families, everyone. Could be a way to share stories and talents. What do you think?" Her gaze bore into him, searching for the truth in his proposition. He held his breath as hope battled against doubt in her heart. "I'll think about it," she finally said, her voice softer now. As they parted ways, Jonathan felt the shift within him. This was only the beginning. He needed to prove his commitment to Mia and the community. But at that moment, he couldn't shake the thought, was he merely spinning his wheels? Or was there potential for real change? The possibilities swirled around him, but he knew deep down that the next step needed to come from Mia's heart. If they were going to forge this path together, she had to believe in it too. As he walked away, Jonathan felt the weight of the world pressing down. But there was also a lightness, an urge to push forward. What would happen next? Would Mia trust him, or would fear keep them apart? The next day, Jonathan woke up with a new determination. The sun filtered through his window, casting soft patterns on the floor, but all he could think about was Mia's hesitant smile and the way the sunset had danced in her eyes. He had barely slept, wondering how he could earn her trust and ignite that flicker of possibility into a blazing fire. He grabbed his phone and scrolled through his contacts, debating who might be able to help. Mia needed more than just ideas. She needed support. After a few moments, he hit dial on his best friend Mark. The phone rang, and Jonathan's stomach twisted with anticipation. "Hey John, what's up?" Mark's voice boomed through the speaker, full of energy. "Hey, I need your help with something. It's kind of a big deal," Jonathan replied, trying to keep his excitement in check. "Sure, bro. What's going on?" "I met someone in the Bronx. She's incredible, Mark. And I want to set up an art showcase, a way to uplift her community." There was a pause. An art showcase? Is this one of those help the poor things? It's more than that, Jonathan stressed, feeling defensive. I want to work with her, not for her. It's about empowerment, amplification of voices. Can you help me reach out to some artists, get the word out? Mark laughed, breaking the tension. All right, I'm in. But I need details. When are we doing this? As Jonathan shared ideas, he felt the weight of the world slowly lift. Mark understood the vision, and that made all the difference. They brainstormed, sketching ideas about promotional materials and logistics that filled Jonathan with a renewed sense of purpose. After hanging up, Jonathan pushed himself into action. He found an online platform, and by the afternoon he had created the event page. The showcase would include art, music, spoken word, the community's soul laid bare for all to see. Later, as he made his way to the community center, he rehearsed what he would say to Mia. He wanted her to see how serious he was. He felt the energy around him. The streets were alive, with bustling vendors and laughter mingling in the air. But this time, the sights and sounds didn't distract him. They fueled his resolve. He stepped through the doors of the center, spotting Mia instantly. She was engaged in a conversation, her hands animated as she gestured excitedly. But her laugh caught in her throat when she saw him. "What are you doing back here?" she asked, a mix of surprise and wariness crossing her features. "I've got something to show you," he said, leading her to a quiet corner. The playful chaos around them faded into muffled sounds, and their space shrunk to just the two of them. "What is it?" Mia raised an eyebrow, skepticism rolling off her. "I started an event page," Jonathan declared, heart pounding. "For the art showcase. I want you involved. Your voice has to be part of this." Her jaw dropped in disbelief. "You really think people will come? You think this will work?" "I know it will. But it can only happen if you're on board. This isn't about me. It's about you, your community, your art. You have a story worth sharing." For a moment, Mia just stared at him, searching for something in his eyes. Was it hope? Doubt? He held his breath, willing her to see the sincerity of his intentions. "I don't know," she murmured, biting her lip, conflicted. "Please," he urged gently. "Let us make this happen together." Jonathan watched her face shift as she processed the idea. She seemed torn, caught in the tension between fear and excitement. He could almost see the wheels turning in her mind, weighing the risks and the possibilities. "I'll think about it," she finally said. But Jonathan couldn't grasp the urgency in the moment. Her hesitance was palpable. It brought his heart crashing down. Would he lose her before they even began? The atmosphere around them felt heavy, weighty with unspoken words. As they stood there, Jonathan's mind raced with thoughts. Would she decide to join him? Or would this chance slip away, drowned in the shadows of self-doubt? Just as he was about to say something more, an elderly woman approached them, smiling brightly. "Mia, come quick. We need you to help with the kids." Mia's expression shifted from conflicted to determined, a flicker of devotion brightening her features. "I'll be right there," she called back, but her gaze remained on Jonathan. He felt her fear turn to urgency, but time slipped away. She turned to leave, her hands fidgeting nervously. "I'll let you know," and with that, she departed, leaving him alone on the edge of possibility. Could he take a step forward? Or would they remain in this moment of uncertainty? Would the fear of stepping into the unknown bind her? Or would bravery blossom to lead them both towards a brighter future? As he stood there watching her walk away, his heart raced, his mind a battleground of hope and doubt. Was he truly ready for the storm ahead? Jonathan stood in the community center, the vibrant chatter of the kids echoing through the hallways. He watched Mia as she helped set up for the children's activities. Her laughter was bright, yet he felt a heaviness in his heart, haunted by the doubt that she might never see the potential in what they could create together. "Hey John." Mark's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him to the present. He had arrived, arms laden with flyers and ideas they had sketched out earlier. "These look great. The energy on the page. I think it's perfect." Mark held up the printed flyers, displaying Mia's artwork splashed across the front. "Thanks, man," Jonathan said, forcing a smile. But I just hope she comes around. I really want her to be part of this. Did you talk to her yet? Mark asked, glancing toward where Mia was engaged with the kids. I did, but Jonathan sighed, his voice trailing off. She's unsure. I can see it. I just don't want to push her too much. Mark nodded thoughtfully. You think she has doubts about her art? Or about you? Maybe both, Jonathan admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. But I see something in her. There's so much beauty and strength in what she does. If only she could just realize that she's worth it. This community needs her voice. Then let's show her just how much, Mark said, a smirk dancing on his lips. How about we gather some testimonials from the community? Real stories, real faces. Let her see the impact her art can have, not just on paper but in life. Yes, that's it, Jonathan shouted, feeling the adrenaline rush. That's how we give her the push she needs. Together, they began crafting a plan to collect stories. They would set up booths around the community, inviting people to share their experiences, their hopes, and what the art showcase could mean to them. Jonathan felt invigorated, like a spark had reignited within him. Later that week, he and Mark arranged to interview different community members. They met a retired teacher who spoke of the importance of art in education, a local chef whose murals brightened the neighborhood, and a teenager who opened up about how creative expression was his safe haven. Each story was a color on their canvas, vibrant and essential. The community's response was overwhelming. Jonathan could feel the shift. People were beginning to rally around the idea. Mia was often mentioned in these stories, her impact felt by those who had witnessed her journey. Jonathan couldn't wait to show Mia the raw power of what they were creating together. It's the end of the week. Mark led Jonathan back to the community center. Ready to show her what we've captured? He asked, excitement bouncing off his words. Jonathan felt his heart race. I hope it's enough. I really hope she sees what she means to everyone. Inside, he spotted Mia. She was painting with the kids, their laughter wrapping around her like a warm hug. As he approached, he felt his palms clammy, but determination fueled him. This was the moment to share everything they had collected. Mia, he called, his voice breaking through the playfulness in the room. The kids turned, and she looked up, her brow furrowing with curiosity. What's up? She asked, her smile hesitant but genuine. I have something for you for us, Jonathan started, his heart pounding. It's about the showcase. I want you to see what your art means to this community. He revealed the stories, the heartfelt testimonials, and as Mia looked through each one, Jonathan saw emotions flicker across her face: surprise, pride, a hint of fear. Her breaths quickened, and her eyes shimmered. This is amazing, Jonathan, she spoke, her voice trembling with emotions. Will you join us? We need you. You can lead this, Jonathan urged, his heart bursting with hope. But just as the air was thick with possibilities, a voice cried out from the back of the room. Mia, come help here. The moment fractured, tension snapping into the air as Mia turned away. Mia, Jonathan whispered as she walked off, leaving him with the weight of his words hanging in the silence behind her. He felt broken. Like all his efforts were drifting out of reach. Would she ever truly understand? Before he could chase after her, Mark clapped him on the back. Don't lose hope, man. Remember, she's just wrapping her mind around it all. It just takes time. But as Jonathan watched the connection dissolve like vapor, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing at the edge of something monumental, and a storm was brewing. Would Mia take that step? Would she embrace her fate as part of the community they were building, or would uncertainty keep her locked away, unsure of her worth? The journey to find out weighed heavily on Jonathan's heart, as the vibrant life around him pulsed with potential. The next few days felt like an eternity to Jonathan. He spent hours in the community center, focusing on the tasks at hand, but his heart was tightly wound around the bittersweet moment he shared with Mia. Every time he caught a glimpse of her, sweet laughter echoing with the kids, a pang of longing shot through him. He wished for nothing more than for her to realize that the community needed her, that they were waiting for her to claim her space in it. Mark's reassurance rang in his ears, but Jonathan was losing patience. What if it's not just about time? He pondered. What if she never sees it? Each question gnawed at him like a relentless tide, pulling him down into doubt. On a sunny Saturday afternoon, Jonathan set up an open mic event at the center, the aim to draw more people in and encourage them to share their stories live. It felt like a risk, but the thought of inspiring Mia ignited a defiant fire within him. Maybe hearing it will unleash something in her, he thought as he prepped the stage, envisioning her stepping into the spotlight. As people filtered into the room, it teemed with excitement. Buzzing chatter filled the air as familiar faces showed up, their enthusiasm palpable. However, his own nerves were a tempest, making it hard to focus. He scanned the crowd, hoping to see Mia, but she was nowhere in sight. Mark nudged him and pointed toward the entrance. "Look who's here." Jonathan turned, barely able to form a coherent thought as he caught sight of her. Mia stepped in, her expression curious and tentative, yet something about her felt different today. Perhaps it was the hint of determination in her posture that piqued his interest. "Mia," Jonathan called, rushing over as she walked through the door. "You made it. I thought I'd check it out." Her response was simple but layered with uncertainty. "Perfect timing. We're starting soon." He guided her toward the front. "You have to see this." The event kicked off, and one by one, community members began to step up to the microphone. Each story was more inspiring than the last. People spoke of how art had saved them, how creativity offered a lifeline when life felt bleak. A single mother shared how a mural painted by Mia's hand brightened her daughter's hospital room, lifting the spirits of the entire ward as each heartfelt moment unfolded. Jonathan glanced at Mia, watching her expression shift from curiosity to astonishment. The realization began to wash over her, illuminating her face with inspiration and understanding. Her lips parted in awe as an elderly man recounted how Mia's art had reminded him of his childhood, how it brought warmth to his aging heart. "Jonathan," she whispered suddenly, her voice barely audible over the applause. "I didn't know." A wave of emotion surged through Jonathan as all of her walls began to slide away. "See?" he replied. "Your art means something. You can lead this." But just as hope began to bloom, the moment splintered when a loud noise erupted from the back of the room. A group of teenagers had arrived late, drawing attention away from the stories being shared. Their restlessness and laughter disrupted the gentle flow of emotion in the room, and Jonathan felt a flicker of frustration ignite. Mia's eyes darted toward the chaos, a mix of disappointment and concern flickering across her face. Without thinking, she rose from her seat and walked toward the ruckus, her every step echoing with uncertainty. Jonathan's heart raced as he watched her leave the warmth of inspiration to confront the noise. "Mia, no," he whispered to himself, fearing the moment she was about to step into might shatter her newfound courage. Would she find the strength to come back? As the noise rose, everything inside Jonathan clenched with worry. He realized that it wasn't just about showing Mia her worth. It was about her believing it herself. Would she stand tall against the distractions, embracing her art and the community that adored her? Or would the fear of rejection engulf her once more? With his heart pounding, Jonathan sat tight, breath held, as the room turned on her, waiting for her to speak her truth. Mia reached the commotion at the back of the room, her heart pounding. The laughter reverberated against the walls, a sharp contrast to the candor that moments ago had filled the air. She paused, taking in the scene. Kids chattering impatiently, some joking with their friends, while others piled in a heap, oblivious to the stories being shared. "Hey guys," she called, her voice rising over the din. "Can we quiet down a bit? People are sharing important stories up front." The teens turned, their faces a collage of surprise and curiosity. One of them, a lanky boy with wild hair, stepped forward, amusement dancing in his eyes. "What's so important?" A wave of uncertainty washed over her, a familiar feeling creeping back. Was she really about to challenge them? But just then, she remembered the stories she had heard, the faces of the people who had opened their hearts. For a fleeting moment, she caught Jonathan's gaze from across the room. The encouragement on his face sparked something deep within her. "It's about our community," she replied, her voice steadier now. It's about art that has changed lives. If you were here, you'd understand. Another girl, shorter and wearing glasses, nodded, clearly intrigued. Okay. We'll listen, she said, glancing at the rest of her friends, who were still figuring out what to do. Mia breathed a sigh of relief, but before she could turn back, she caught the eye of a little girl in the crowd, sitting next to a single mother. The child's wide eyes reflected the light, a sense of wonder in her gaze. That was when it clicked for Mia. She wasn't just fighting for herself, but for every person who had been touched by her art. Simon, everyone, come join us, she called out to the group. Let us not miss what's happening. One by one, the teenagers shuffled to the front, curiosity featuring on their faces. They settled into seats, their previous arrogance diffused by Mia's sincerity. Jonathan watched, a wave of pride swelling within him. She was stepping into her power, a moment he hoped would define her. Returning to her chair, Mia sat down beside Jonathan. I did it, she whispered, her heart racing. I saw. You were amazing, he said, fighting a grin. Something inside him felt lighter, as if a storm had cleared, revealing a bright horizon. When the last story concluded, applause rippled through the room. Mia could feel it, an energy that was contagious. She stood at the edge of her seat, her mind racing. She had always been afraid of speaking up, afraid of judgment. But today felt different. Can I say something? Her voice trembled slightly, yet there was an undeniable strength behind it. The room quieted again, eyes drawn to her. She took a breath, grounding herself in the warmth that had filled the space. I never realized how much my art meant to everyone, or how much this community means to me. A wave of supportive murmurs swept through the audience. Art has a way of connecting us, even when we think we're alone, she continued more confidently now. Let us keep sharing our stories. I want to help. I want to create with you all. Jonathan's heart soared as he watched her. The room erupted in applause, but what struck him most was how Mia's eyes sparkled with a newfound resolve. This was the moment he had hoped for. Suddenly, the door swung open again, and a tall man stepped in. He surveyed the room, his presence commanding. Jonathan felt a knot form in his stomach when he recognized him as someone influential in the city's art scene. Excuse me, the man said, his voice deep and authoritative. Is this where the community art event is happening? All eyes fell upon Mia. He could feel the weight of expectations. Would she rise to meet this new challenge, or retreat under the pressure again? As silence filled the room, Jonathan leaned forward, silently urging her to seize this opportunity. Would this moment set her on a path to becoming the artist she was meant to be? Mia glanced back at Jonathan, her expression a mixture of uncertainty and determination. Would she take this leap? The entire community seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her response. Mia felt the air thicken with anticipation, her heart racing faster than ever. The tall man stood there, a witness to this pivotal moment. She could see the curiosity in his eyes, mixed with something else, an expectation. Perhaps. Yes, she finally managed to say, the words spilling out like a whispered secret. I'm Mia, and this is the community art event. Her voice, although small, filled the space with a surprising weight. The man's brows raised slightly, as if impressed. Interesting, he said, glancing around the room at the young faces eager to connect, ardent with stories and dreams. You seem to have gathered quite a crowd. Mia felt a swell of pride, but it was quickly punctured by doubt. Was she really enough? I believe art can help us share who we are, our experiences. It gives us a voice. Her words poured out, each one warmer than the last, ignited by the hope that had grown in her heart. That's powerful, he replied, his gaze returning to her. What do you plan to do with this voice? A wave of emotion washed over Mia. She didn't have the perfect answer, but she felt the truth inside her demanding expression. I want to create projects that bring people together, everyone who feels they don't belong. We all have stories, she gestured to the audience, and I want to help tell them. A murmur of agreement swept through the room, and Jonathan could see the spark igniting in the faces around him. They were listening. They believed in her vision. The same spirit that had drawn Mia to her art was now radiating back at her. The man stepped closer, his interest apparent. "Do you have any ideas already?" Mia hesitated, contemplating the blueprints of her dreams that were so clear in her mind yet felt fragile when spoken aloud. "We could do community murals, showcase local artists, host workshops for people of all ages." Workshops? He interrupted, a light stirring in his eyes. "How about a gallery event that promotes these workshops? If you have the right people on board, we could create something impactful." Jonathan felt a wave of exhilaration sweep through him. This was a chance, a lifeline thrown to Mia and this community. He could see the way her face lit up, every shadow of doubt evaporating into possibility. "Yes," Mia exclaimed, her voice shaking with enthusiasm. "We could have a theme that focuses on identity. Each person can contribute something that tells their story. It will be a celebration of who we are. That's passion," the man said, a subtle smile forming. "Let us make it happen then. I'm interested in collaborating." Mia's heart soared, pulse racing as excitement coursed through her. The thought of an exhibition dedicated to her community was beyond anything she had dared to dream. But soon enough, a small, nagging fear crept in. What if it became too much? What if she failed? Her eyes flitted back to Jonathan, who stood quietly by her side but radiating support. His smile seemed to say, "You can do this." With that, she turned back to the crowd. Finding the warmth of their faces gave her strength. "Let us work together to create something beautiful," she declared. "Let us be seen, let us be heard." Cheers erupted, and Mia felt invincible, the weight of her fears lifting like fog in the sun. But as the applause faded into laughter and shouts of agreement, she caught a glimpse of the man nodding thoughtfully and jotting down notes as the room buzzed with excitement. Mia couldn't help but wonder what the reality of this collaboration would mean. Would she truly be able to lead, inspire, and keep the faith when it truly mattered? Overwhelmed yet exhilarated, she was left standing on the precipice of her dreams. Could she mold all her fears and hopes into something lasting? But before any answer could settle, the man spoke again, his tone changing slightly. "Before we move forward, there's something important you should know about my plans." Mia's heart skipped a beat, and she leaned in, wondering what revelation could possibly shape the future that lay ahead. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she watched the man's pen pause mid-sentence. The passion that had burned in her chest suddenly felt like a flickering candle, caught in a gust of wind. She could see the weight of his message looming like a shadow over her dreams. "What is it?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. He took a deep breath, grounding himself before revealing the news. "I represent a nonprofit that aims to empower local artists, but we usually work with established figures. I need you to understand that my support comes with certain expectations." Mia's heart sank. Was this a catch? She had imagined a partnership built on shared values, not one tangled in corporate logistics. What sort of expectations? He folded his arms, eyeing the crowd with the confidence of someone who routinely brokered high-stakes deals. "Exposure, visibility. If you want this event to attract sponsorship, we need to market it to a wider audience. I'm talking about selling it, packaging it for the right clientele." Selling? Mia's hands tingled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "But the idea was to be genuine, to tell our stories authentically." "Exactly," he replied, a hint of urgency in his voice. "And to do that, you need resources. We can highlight those stories, but it's a balancing act. You have to stake a claim in the art world to do so." For a moment, the room felt suffocatingly small. The air was thick, heavy with the weight of expectation. This was a turning point, one that forced Mia to assess what really mattered to her. She glanced over at Jonathan, whose expression was a mirror of her own uncertainty, a mixture of hope and confusion. "Do you think it's worth it?" she whispered, but it wasn't really just for him. It was for herself, for everyone gathered around them. "I think it's an incredible opportunity," Jonathan replied, his voice steady and encouraging. "But you need to decide what you want most." Mia stood tall, her heart hammering. She couldn't shake the feeling that every decision now would ripple through the lives of those who looked up to her. She had opened the door, but who was she to dictate what lay on the other side? She turned her focus back to the tall man, feeling a flush rise in her cheeks. I want to ensure that our stories, every story, are honored. Art is a reflection of us, not a commodity to be traded. A flicker of something admiration graced his features. You have conviction, Mia. That's why I'm here. But it's a tough world out there. We have to be smart about it. Mia hesitated, weighing every word on her tongue. Could we find a way to honor our community with this collaboration? Can we ensure that the voices we uplift remain authentic? Perhaps, he mused. How about a trial run? If we can craft a meaningful initiative around that principle, it could be a win-win. Show them what art can truly mean. An electric buzz thrummed through the room. The young faces around her still watched, eager and ready to be part of something larger. She could feel their anticipation, the kind of hope thatched with dreams, and it enveloped her like a familiar embrace. All right, Mia finally said, emboldened. Let us try. But we'll do it our way. With that, a wave of energy surged through the room. The applause could have lit up the dim corners and made them brighter. For the first time in ages, Mia recognized the power of collective strength. Yet, deep inside, the questions lingered. Would they be able to maintain their authenticity while navigating this new territory? As the afterglow of excitement cast a warm light over the gathering, the unspoken tension still crackled in the air, hinting at challenges yet to come. Just as Mia began to celebrate the moment, her eyes caught on the tall man again. His expression had shifted subtly, revealing something in his gaze that felt like more than just business. Mia, he said slowly, there is something I haven't told you, something that might change everything. And just like that, Mia's heart plummeted as she braced herself for yet another revelation that could turn everything upside down. Mia held her breath, her pulse racing as she waited for the tall man's next words. The room buzzed with energy, but all she could hear was the rapid thumping of her heart. What could he possibly say that would change everything? She thought, anxiety knotting in her stomach. The man shifted his weight, glancing at the crowd as if gauging their anticipation. Finally, he locked eyes with Mia again, and she could see a flicker of vulnerability beneath his confident facade. It's about our nonprofit, he began, his words deliberate and slow. We have a history with artists from marginalized communities. It's not just business for us, it's personal. Mia raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. Personal? She leaned in closer, the air thick with suspense. I was once just like you, he continued, his voice softening. Raised in a rough neighborhood, struggling to find my footing. I never had anyone to guide me through the art world. He paused, and Mia could tell that this was hard for him. My mother used to paint to escape the crushing weight of life, but her talent was never recognized. That's why I've devoted my life to this cause. The admission hung in the air like a distant melody, tugging at Mia's heartstrings. Her mind raced. The man, an experienced professional, a potential ally, had his roots in struggle. She felt a spark of connection, realizing that passion for art ran deeper than any corporate agenda. What about your mother? Mia asked gently, the words pouring out before she could think. Her story ended before it began, he replied, his gaze dropping to the floor. She passed away too young, and many of her pieces were lost. I'd do anything to ensure other artists don't share the same fate. For a moment, the room slipped away as Mia felt the weight of his story. She could see it, his mother, painting in their cramped apartment while the world outside moved too fast to notice her dreams. The thought made her heart ache. If we can create a platform that honors artists like her, we could make a real difference, Mia said, her voice firm but compassionate. We could give them visibility, empower their voices. The tall man looked up, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. That's exactly what I envisioned when I came to you today. But just as she thought they were on the same page, his expression darkened. But there's more. I need to be honest, Mia. The nonprofit has sponsors with very specific interests. They often push for agendas that could clash with our mission. Mia felt a chill run down her spine. What do you mean? Are you suggesting we compromise the very authenticity we aim to protect? The weight of his words felt like bricks dropped into her stomach. I don't know. I'm torn. This is a sizable amount of funding, but it comes with strings attached. The crowd's murmurs grew restless, unaware of the internal battle playing out within Mia and the tall man. She turned her attention to Jonathan, who had been listening intently. His brow was furrowed with concern. Mia, he called softly, don't lose sight of why we started. Let us not make decisions that put profit over purpose. Turning back to the man, she took a deep breath. If we take this path, it must be our way, a way that honors every voice involved. His hesitation was palpable as he processed her words. All right, he finally said, though uncertainty danced in his eyes. Let us explore this together. But just know, there might be backlash from the higher-ups. Mia nodded, resolute. Every step we take must be intentional. We have to stay true to ourselves. Just as they began discussing next steps, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room, diverting their attention. A framed piece of art had fallen, shattering glass scattering across the floor. Gasps erupted as everyone turned toward the scene of chaos, eyes wide with shock. Mia and the tall man exchanged a glance, a silent agreement forming. In the midst of uncertainty and conflict, something had shifted. The stakes were higher than they had ever imagined, and now they faced an unexpected challenge that could either unite them further or set them at odds. What just happened? Mia thought, tension pooling in the air around them. With every passing moment, the possibility of everything they dreamed about felt more fragile than ever. And just as she prepared to speak again, a voice rang out from the back, shrill and panicked. Someone is hurt. Call for help. Mia's heart raced again, but now it was for an entirely different reason. What other revelations lay ahead, and how would this twist shape their journey? Mia's heart dropped as chaos erupted around her. Shattered glass crunched underfoot while gasps filled the air. Her fear gripped her, but it was overshadowed by a rush of determination. Every moment matters, she thought. We can't let fear hold us back. She scanned the room, trying to locate the source of the commotion. A woman was crouched, clutching her arm. A teenager rushed to her side, worry etching his features. Jonathan was already moving through the crowd, his presence a grounding force. Stay calm. Help is on the way, he called out, his voice ringing with authority, even as urgency pulsed. Mia followed Jonathan, weaving through the concerned gathering. We can do this together, she whispered to herself, trying to stay focused. We're building something here. We can't let this break us. Reaching the woman, Jonathan knelt alongside the teenager. What happened? He asked, concern in his eyes. The woman winced, shaking her head. Just tripped and the frame fell. I didn't see it coming. But as she spoke, Mia could see the pain etched on her face. Look, we're going to get you help, Jonathan assured her, glancing back at Mia. Can you grab some ice from the kitchen? He urged, a silent command in his tone. Mia jumped into action, her heart pounding with purpose. As she dashed to the kitchen, she thought of the lives intertwined in this very moment, the mother seeking solace in art, the painter a son, and now the woman hurt by chaos. This is why we fight for our community, she thought fiercely. She filled a small cloth with ice and rushed back, Jonathan still comforting the woman. You'll be okay. Just breathe, he instructed, showing strength when vulnerability felt overwhelming. As Mia reached them, she threaded her hand around Jonathan's, their unspoken connection grounding them both. Here, she said, handing over the ice. The woman's eyes, now glistening with gratitude, met Mia's. Thank you, she whispered, and something clicked in Mia's heart. Just then, the tall man stepped forward, his demeanor shifted. He knelt down as well, his corporate edges softened by the chaos. Why don't we move her to a quieter space? He suggested. We can call an ambulance safety first. Mia watched as they worked together, a mixture of surprise and respect swelling inside her. They were all humans first, unfamiliar but bound together now by empathy. Maybe this is the turning point, she hoped. Maybe we are stronger when we unite. As the woman was gently lifted, Her cries of pain morphed into murmurs of reassurance. Mia felt strength pooling within her, the moment igniting clarity. The tall man met Mia's gaze and spoke again, the seriousness returning. This is what we need to remember: life is fragile. That's why your stories matter, he said firmly, a conviction mirrored in the eyes of everyone present. Returning to the crowd, Mia took a deep breath, emotions swirling in her chest. She raised her voice, capturing attention. I want everyone to know that your voice matters. Your experiences matter. We must keep sharing our hopes, our art, our dreams. A swell of support echoed within the room, shifting the atmosphere from fear to unity. Jonathan's nod of approval warmed her spirit. With renewed brightness, she forged a path through the crowd. Art isn't just a pretty picture. It's a language of hope. It connects us, even when life throws us challenges, she exclaimed. People began responding. Whispers transformed into cheers. We can create together. Let us build this community, this vision. In that moment, Mia could feel the barriers slipping away, her earlier anxiety diminished by this sense of purpose. The tall man stood beside her, nodding in enthusiasm, a small smile breaking through his earlier tension. I'd like to be part of that vision, he confessed, his voice steady. We can do this our way, as long as we remain true to each other. Tears glistened in Mia's eyes as she realized the power of this moment. Yes, let us keep art genuine, she replied, her voice steady now. Let us honor every story. With that, Jonathan took the stage, bringing everyone together as one, creating a community forged through resilience and shared ambition. The words flowed, hearts opened, and Mia's earlier fears melted away in a rush of hope as the echoes of laughter and warmth surrounded them. Mia realized that this was the transformation they all needed. We'll create a safe place for every voice, she vowed, looking at Jonathan, the tall man and the crowd. And we'll uplift each other as we go. And just like that, beneath Manhattan's bustling skyline, they began to craft not just art, but a legacy of authenticity that would bridge lives forever. Mia's heart swelled with a powerful realization as she continued to share the stories of their community. This journey wasn't just about her dreams anymore. It was about everyone pushing towards a brighter future together. And with that, the room erupted into applause, a resonance that transcended the airwaves and found a home in every heart present that day. Together, they were unstoppable. So remember, if you felt the power of this transformation, now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to be part of our journey and witness more inspiring stories that change lives. Leave a like now to show your love and support for all the voices out there. Comment below with your feelings on Mia's incredible journey and share what inspires you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait. Not even one more second together. We can uplift each other and make a difference.